Well, now is the time to cut back a crepe myrtle if you've got one. And here to tell us how is Stephanie Harbin from Hens Ponds Nursery. Now, Stephanie, when is the ideal time to do this?
The ideal time to cut back a crepe myrtle is late January, beginning of February, all the way up until it starts putting out leaves. You can technically prune it even when it has leafed out, but it's probably a little bit easier to go ahead and do it before it refoliates for the spring.
And why is it so important to kind of cut back?
You see a lot of crepe myrtles that are kind of butchered at this point. And what you really want to do with a crepe myrtle is, it's a beautiful tree, and you want to enhance its already beautiful shape. So what you want to do is kind of look at the tree and decide, the best cuts to make to give it its natural shape. You start with a couple of branches at the bottom, a couple of stalks at the bottom. 5 is probably a good number. You can have as little as 3, you can have as many as 7. What we're going to do today is, you'll see this branch is just kind of coming up in the middle there, and I'm not sure where that came from, but we're going to take this branch out. Okay. We're going to look in the inside of the tree, and you'll see we've got some branches up here growing towards the inside of the tree. And you don't want that, because the wind blows, the tree branches will rub, and you could cause breakage. You could have some damage to the bark, which could get insects and infected. So you just want to kind of keep it nice and clean and open. And we've got Eric here today with us. He's got a couple of tools that he's going to show us, which basically, a tree this size, you can pretty much prune by hand. He's got a pair of long-handled loppers, which gives you a little more strength than a smaller pair. He's got a little hand saw with a good sharp blade on it. And then we've got the little hand snips for the smaller, these smaller branches. And you want to clean up these smaller branches, because, this part of the tree is mature, and you just don't want these smaller branches growing off that part of the tree. You want to kind of, keep it clean at the bottom and give it a nice canopy. So, like I said, we're going to let Eric go ahead and take this branch out and clean up some of the center branches. The side branches definitely need to come off. Sucker branches down at the bottom need to come off. And when you get to the top, anything that is basically smaller than a pencil, it's okay to cut it off. There is some speculation that if you prune the top of the tree, you'll have more blooms. I think that's still debatable. Some experts say yes, and some experts say it doesn't matter. The tree's going to bloom anyway. That's what it does, whether you prune it or not. What you don't want to do is lop everything off about head high. Then you end up with these ugly knuckles at the top of your tree, and these long spindly branches that will bloom, but the flower heads will be so heavy that they'll just pull it down and possibly break if we get a nice heavy rain.
Well, like Stephanie said, now is the time to do it, and it's not really an ideal planting weather, so get out there and trim that crepe myrtle. And if you have any questions, you can contact Stephanie at www.henspondsnursery.com.